Hey y'all, welcome back to For the Fans, where tonight we are so excited to talk about the most recent episode of Survivor 44 where nothing crazy happened. Once again, it was just straightforward, regular old Survivor, which we all
You
know
lie.
and love. But
You
anyways,
lie.
we are still excited to talk about it because even when it's not great, it's still Survivor.
Wait, did
So
you lie though? I mean, I thought it was great, but did you lie? I mean, this is regular old Survivor. This is like the fourth time this has happened when they split into
yeah, we don't
groups
like
and
it.
do the thing.
We still don't like it.
What do you
All
mean we
right.
don't like it? I like it.
All right. So today I am joined by Kevin, Sheldon, and Karen. Guys, how are y'all?
We're good, man. I'm good. Kylie's ready to get back to Rupert. She needs Rupert. She wants a marooning. She wants people climbing trees and chopping down coconuts. She wants to go back to Vanuatu. She wants to go back to Guam. What's going on
Guam.
here?
You know where I want to
Um,
go? I want to go to Australia. I just binged the last two seasons of Australian Survivor over the last month. So maybe we can't call it a binge. It took me a month and a bit. And,
slow
and
burn.
I'm
A
sorry,
slow burn.
slow burn. For me, that's binging. I binge food. That's a whole other thing. Anyways, honestly, yesterday was Survivor was tense. That is not even close to the every single 10-day tribal tenseness of Australian Survivor. It is we are in the minor leagues with Survivor USA, folks. Australian Survivor is so far above and beyond anywhere of where current Survivor is. And I don't necessarily know, Kevin, if I want to go back to Rupert and all those people, but I want more. I feel like I'm just not getting major league athletes here. I'm not getting that.
So, I mean, Sheldon, like you're kind of like honing in on the cast, and I'm like honing in. My problems continue to be with Jeff in production, and
No,
we'll
I think
get
I think you're
into
right.
it.
I actually
And
I actually think I think you're right to some extent, but I also think it's the cast. Like I think it's a mix of everything. I think the cast this season is the best it's been in years. Period. Full stop. I think it could be better.
okay, okay, well,
I feel like the
I
last.
feel like there's like a argument a lot people are like Sheldon just said like Australian Survivor is so much better, but
Mhm.
I kind of don't I mean I watch both, but I don't really understand that perspective that
Can I
much
can I tell
other
you why?
than maybe the new era. I can understand people having problems with the new era, but Australian Survivor has a lot of things that people complain about in American Survivor, like
Like
silly
what?
twists and
Oh,
stuff. But the difference is they start with more people and they definitely like they have
listen.
90-minute episodes like several
I'll,
times
I'll,
a week.
I'll
There's
tell you
more
what to
content.
me the biggest difference between Australian Survivor. There's two big things for me between Australian Survivor and US Survivor, and I'm not going to spoil anything for you, Kylie, so don't you worry.
thanks.
Number one, two tribes, not three,
Yeah, I mean that's great. I
plus a
100% agree with
swap. I think it completely changes the dynamics of the game significantly, and I think it creates far deeper and more difficult relationships in the game, whereby you actively an Australian Survivor see one tribe influencing what happens at the other tribe's tribal council. It is an active, important part of the game. That very rarely happens in US Survivor. That's number one. The second thing that's really different, and I know we don't want to talk about this today, but I'm talking about it. It sounds horrible because I usually don't like bros and dudes, but the level of the athlete, the
you.
level of competitive personality on Australian Survivor is literally they're all Olympians. They're all professional athletes. They're all retired like you
I
just
don't like
have.
that though.
But I love it because I actually get to enjoy the what is it called, the challenges. I'll be honest, I fast forward through most of the challenges on US Survivor because I find them boring as hell. I don't want to see myself running up and down things. I
Okay.
want to see I want to see an NHL player doing that. And to me, the combination of those two it's a whole different show.
So I don't necessarily need that. I'm not opposed to it one way or another, like in the individual portion. Like, cool, you're a great athlete. We do have a show for that. It's called The Challenge. And, that is where I really want to see it, like these big buff bros go at it. I don't like
Okay,
I
but
don't mind a
what
bro or
strategic
two
moves have happened?
but
What
once again,
what
my
strategic
problem
moves have happened this season?
there
What
hasn't been
strategic?
any. There's not been any.
Exactly.
I mean, you can't look at anybody and you're just like, wow.
Okay, wait a
Wow.
minute. Wait a minute, Sheldon. How many seasons of Australian Survivor have there been? 11?
So I think so. A total of 10, I believe. The numbering is different because they had an old new Australian Survivor versus New Age. So it's been about 7 or 8 in the New Age.
Okay. So the reason I ask this question is because outside of All Stars, you don't get 3 tribes until way later in the game. So you citing that as a reason why it's better seems a little early because they had 2 tribes for the longest. They did a 4-tribe season.
Oh, I agree. I agree. I do think that older U.S. Survivor is better than current U.S. Survivor. I don't disagree with that.
Man, that is such a so like it to me is very similar when you talk like in sports and people try to tell me that like for instance age old argument Michael Jordan's better than LeBron because Michael came first and it's like cool
but it's not because Michael came first. It's because
I've had that argument very recently, which is
I don't mean
a terrible reasoning, by the way. Like if you're going to have a Michael Jordan versus LeBron debate, that part, right, just like you're saying, Sheldon, is a terrible fact to go by. But
I don't disagree. But what I'm saying is both the cast, I believe, and the format of the game was previously better on Survivor, and I believe is currently better on Australian Survivor, even with weird twists and turns.
I think this in the new age, if you will. I feel like it's been some of the best casts that we've had. I've enjoyed these casts. Like, so I don't know that you're saying that you don't like the casting. I feel like in these last 4 seasons, we've had people that you would not expect. It's given a pretty even odds of everyone to win, including getting winners like Gabler, getting winners like Erica, Marianne.
I don't think that's a good thing, though. I don't actually think that's a great thing. Like I'm sorry, I do not respect Marianne's game as much as I don't give me that look as much as I respect some of the winners in Australian Survivor. Like the winners in Australian Survivor, to win that game, you have to work from day one. And I'm sorry, the level of strategic moves that Marianne made.
That's probably wrong. That's probably wrong. And I say that because I've heard about the Australian Survivor editing that there's people that are just deleted, like that you don't see anything from, and that they focus on a certain crop of people. So if they were to give you a winner's edit only, everyone looks like a superstar. That's how that works. If you want to see outside of Natalie White, if you want to see a winner's edit only, everyone looks. So, for instance, Karen joined our group last season, and she came on because she was a Gabler defender, while I'm a Gabler hater. Right? If I saw Gabler doing literally all the things, like forming that other alliance and like working with them behind the scenes, and we see like a heavy dose of Gabler confessionals and stuff, then obviously I'm not going to think the way I feel about Gabler, right? Because I'm going to have seen every little thing. And so if Australian Survivor is top heavy in terms of how they edit, then obviously you have to work every day to end up being the best player on Australian Survivor that season. Sure, Karen wasn't on the episode. Sure, Kiley wasn't on the episode. They don't win. So it doesn't matter.
But I don't fundamentally think that what you're saying is the truth. Because they don't just focus on 2 people. They usually focus on, there's a cast of 20. They focus on 10. and then an episode or two before whoever's leaving, they start focusing on them. 100%. And I agree. Parts of the Australian Survivor editing is really strange. Like, it is so clear that they're splicing different conversation. Like it is weird, some of it. But I will say, it is so much more entertaining. It is so much more fun. And that's sort of where I'm at. I'm never going to stop watching Real Survivor. I even call it Real Survivor versus Australian Survivor. I'm not going to stop watching it. I bought it. I love it. I love the strategy. I just feel that, like, I'm sorry, like, Matt is fun, but we kind of have 4 Matts. Like I don't need Matt. We keep on getting Matt. I don't need that in this game. I'm sorry. I need one nerd. I don't need
once again, my issue. We're just gonna do all of our shitting before we even get into the episode.
And it was a good episode last night.
I mean, it was in
Kylie does not agree.
It was a somewhat entertaining episode. I mean, like, it's stressful because I have said, like, I am all in on a Jam win. Like, that is what I want to see. So yes, with Jam on the line, it was stressful and nerve-wracking. But once again, I am going to put all of my dislike for this season onto the production decisions, and that we've gotten so far away from the core of Survivor. And is he going to continue to do this? Yes, probably, because he's got it in his mind that this is new Survivor. And I mean, we're at a merge. Like, I want to see the whole group.
What's the
working
core
together.
of Survivor?
And the core of Survivor is there's one person that wins immunity. Every once in a while, sure. Okay, we can handle a twist every now and then, but it's when it's every single week, they don't know the format of the game. And so they're playing a game that they don't even know.
They've added the 3-point line. They've added forward passing. They've added a pitch counter. That's all we're doing. Is that?
But do they add it all in the same season? And you've also mentioned multiple sports. Okay, so it's like adding a 3-point line into a baseball game. So
that's the
why?
Point, though, that like each time, like each sport has had a thing that comes in, right?
Sure,
the 3-point line. People still hate the 3-point line. The forward passing, no one cares about forward passing. No one complains about that.
Right.
This season, there's a pitch clock in baseball.
But do they do with that every season? Are they changing up what it is? And
yes, yeah. You know what? There actually are rules.
They don't change what it is at its core every single season.
So football, they've added that you could like run and like push them in, right? They just added that last season. And
Kevin,
then
do they change something major to the game of football, to the game of basketball, to the game of baseball?
I don't think these things are major, though. These things aren't major.
These are major.
The core of Survivor is to outwit, outlast, and outplay. That's the core. And these things that's what you're still doing. They haven't changed what the game is.
Are they? I mean, because Matt was in a great position. And to be honest, like, I don't even care that Matt got voted out because I didn't necessarily like Matt that much.
Spoiler alert.
But he was in a great position. And then this new era, this new twist, something we've never done before. We got to add in another element. We've never had a whole tribe get safety based off of one person's performance.
But we've broken the tribes into two and had one group vote and another group vote. We've
never done this, and then tack on this one.
Ghost Island last season, the season before.
Well, Kevin, it was literally a brand new twist last night. Don't understand what you're doing here.
So can I just say why I didn't like this twist? And I think Karen should say something because us 3 siblings and our newest elder sister Karen hasn't gotten it. I didn't like the fact that they just merged. Like, literally, they just merged, and then they unmerged. I fundamentally don't get it. What's the point of merging? Just do a swap and call it a day. Like, they didn't get a vote. They didn't, like, why are you merging then if you're just going to unmerge? It doesn't make sense to me. I actually would not have been opposed to this twist 4 rounds from now, 3 rounds, 2 rounds from now. Give them some time to play as a merged tribe. Give them some time to develop new relationships, break more relationships. Like, all of a sudden, like, just do a swap then. What is this?
So I don't hate this twist. I just think that since it's like the first merge tribal and we already have the mergatory tribal where half the people are safe, It's not an even number anyway, so why do we need to do it twice in a row? But I don't hate it. So maybe if they would have just had a normal round this round, and then next time it would have been an even 5-5, I would have been fine with that.
So the thing that I don't understand is that in 43, they did the two groups. Carla won immunity, Cody won immunity, two groups went to tribal, one person goes home from each group. They don't have any say. The season before, High won immunity, Jonathan won immunity. They still went the thing. Roxroy went home, Tori went home. They've done this. They've done this. The thing they haven't done is make one whole group safe. But these two groups have been broken into two, and then they've had to have a small group of people vote somebody out. What part of that? You said they're getting rid of the core. They've been doing this.
Okay. Once again, jumping into the episode, we spend the first 15, 20 minutes of the episode. No. This is to prove my point.
Yeah. I thought we were actually going to do
You don't have
the
to
podcast.
get specifics here. No, we're still talking generalities. We spend the first 15, 20 minutes looking at these new tribal dynamics of like, oh, Jam, he feels like he needs to make connections. And Danny's throwing out Lauren's name. Lauren is like, okay, well then let's go for Danny. Matt's like, I've been bamboozled, so I'm going to go for Danny too. And we focus on all of these tribe dynamics. And then we go to the challenges like, guess what? All that shit we showed you doesn't matter.
Well, it's going to matter.
It does matter. Yeah, it's not like it's
gone. Doesn't matter for this episode.
It doesn't matter today.
No, but it's going to matter next week, Kylie.
It's called story building, Kylie. They're building
but it may not because
here.
Sheldon, like Kevin said, what have we done the last 3 seasons at the final 10? We've gone to tribal with 2 groups of 5. So are we going to do that again? Because once again, these whole tribe dynamics don't matter. Because you can't get any footing as to what relationships are whenever we're not ever a big group.
To me, I think I don't fully agree with you, and the reason isn't actually because of the format. To me, the reason is that we have 42 minutes of episode. So the truth is, we just fundamentally don't know who's actually with who. What are the conversations? We don't know. We just fundamentally don't know, and so that is what I'm more upset about. I still don't like this twist. I do not like an unmerge after merging. I don't get it. There was no need for it. Let them play out a nice round or two. Let them start developing relationships. To me, Survivor is a social strategy game. There is no social strategy when you divide them in half, and it's like, well, I didn't have time to make new relationships, so Maddie and Jam are at the bottom. So one of them are going.
They've done this before. It's not like this is new news.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter if they've done it before or not, Kevin. To me, I'm still saying I don't like it.
Okay, you don't like it, but it's a part of the game. You don't like the fact that the mid-range game is dead. It's a part of the game, though.
I think this is just like a replacement for a swap in a way, because it's gonna be. It's not. There's a lot of potential for one tribe to just steamroll. We haven't seen that yet, really. I mean, kind of, but not complete steamrolling. But there is that potential still. What if you do get a group that's super tight that only loses one challenge pre-merge? So this mechanic prevents that from happening. It
helps rebalance things. And now you're saying you don't like it, and let's jump into the episode.
But why do we need to rebalance it, Kevin? If they rightfully won and they never got a chance to swap, it's not their fault.
It was boring.
Why do we have to rebalance?
The game?
To get there
that's why we have game makers, Sheldon. The producers are game makers. If you look at the Hunger Games, right? The Hunger Games, the books, they have game makers. They built the game and they shift things up to make it interesting. This makes it interesting.
Well, let's shift it up. We've done the same thing 4 seasons in a row where we are not going to have these traditional game elements.
I'm so confused because they shifted up and you say you don't like it, but then you're saying we've had the same stuff.
It's shifting it up in the same direction. It's like we're going to do something that's brand new in that, yes, we've never seen a whole tribe not even a tribe, a whole group drawn by rocks get immunity based off of one person's immunity, but it's still breaking the game that wasn't broken, and we're going to continue to do this. And I mean, apparently this is the new era, and
Yes.
it's unfortunate because I'm telling you, I mean, you look at the Survivor Twitter, and
I don't look at Survivor Twitter.
well,
I don't
you
look at
do
Survivor
look at you
Facebook.
do look at Twitter, Kevin, at
We
KG
only
Fury.
look at
So,
Twitter
but
and
you
BB
look at
Can
the
Canada.
people that
Mainly.
keep it going, because you have to have the people that care on this level, that talk about it, Thursday and Friday and Saturday, and are so excited for it.
Well,
Those are the people that are going to keep the show on, and I
I'm not
promise
sure
you,
that's true, Kylie. Actually, I want to look.
if you
I'd
lose
like
the
to.
hardcore base, you lose the show.
I'm not
People
sure
been
I buy that.
complaining about people fundamentally don't like change, and they've been complaining
Thank
since
you, Karen.
season 3
Since
anything that has ever changed. It's like when
Karen, specifically
Facebook
season
redesign.
3,
Yeah.
3 they had 3 people swap. If you go back, people are going to complain about 3 people swapping, because in season 1 and season 2 that didn't happen. So people
Exactly.
didn't like that happened. Karen is hitting the nail on the head. Anytime something's different, people have a problem.
Yeah,
Period.
no. I'm not arguing the difference, though. I'm arguing I just fundamentally, you called this game mechanics. I guess I fundamentally do not like these game mechanics.
That's
I
fine.
like, and that's just where I am. Like, let alone we're gonna get into that. Maddie didn't go to thing with his idol. That's not fair either.
So for who?
For Maddie. He
should've brought
didn't
his
know
stuff.
he wasn't going back to his
Everyone
thing.
else brought their stuff. What do you? Because he didn't know. Everyone else, other people had their stuff. You got to have your stuff. It wasn't fair that he didn't bring his stuff like
Yes.
other people.
Yes. I think it's not fair. If you're expecting a challenge and you always go back,
Expect
then yeah.
the unexpected.
But you don't always
This
go
isn't
back.
Big Brother.
Brother.
This isn't Big
But
Brother.
You don't always go back.
I don't know. I don't know. A lot of stuff, and then okay, let's get into it, because then
All right,
the
so
other
let's-
advantage pisses me off too.
Let's talk specifics, and then we'll get into the other stuff that pisses us off.
Rolling his eyes.
All right, so after the Josh vote, we are back on the beach, and Jam Jam does a marvelous job of reintegrating himself, and he does what he is going to refer to later, in that he deflects with humor. And so he's like, hey guys, like, it's not awkward that you voted for me. Yes, it is. Like, y'all shouldn't have done that. You're going to hell. I mean, you literally can't handle it any better, because he makes the people that voted for him like, it's fine. That's what you want to see.
Well, I thought the fact that Jam Jam went back to the beach and then was just Jam Jam was a important piece of it, because the things he was saying is archetypical for who he is, specifically him, because other people could not go back and say, you shouldn't have voted for me, but you're going to hell. Other people can't do that, but he can, because that's how he's been the whole time. So him going back and being normal, if you will, the way that he has always been, I thought it was fantastic.
Look, we always see a player come back bitter and annoyed and frustrated and upset and in their eyes plotting their revenge. Like, he's still plotting his revenge, don't worry, but he'll only use his revenge when the time is right. And if it doesn't make sense for that revenge to come, he won't do it. He'll use the people that voted his name and get him further in the game. He's just a smart game player.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you, Jam Jam.
So what I think is interesting is we get this confessional from Jam Jam where he's like, my biggest worry is that, like, yes, the name Jam Jam looks great on paper, but once your name's written once, it's easy for people to write your name again. Karen, what do you think about this? How can Jam Jam pull himself out of this position?
I mean, I definitely understand his concern, because especially if you're splitting votes, it's kind of like once you've been on the block, you're easy pawn at that point. So if your name has already been out there like that, if you've already voted for somebody, it's easy to be the split. And in a game with idols, that's not a place you really want to be.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Jam Jam is not everybody's biggest problem, and I just think in modern Survivor, the person who's obviously on the bottom just never goes home. Almost
Mhm.
never. I don't know,
Well,
not
it's
to
so
say never, but-
interesting because they keep talking about a social game, but he has nobody. And so if everyone keeps talking about a social game, then how dangerous are you if everyone's aware? You know what I'm saying? Like that's my only confusion in it is that they keep talking about how well liked he is and how much they enjoy him like individually, but he doesn't have any numbers and props to Jam Jam that he keeps trying to like create stuff, but everyone's like wary of him. So it's like it neutralizes him as a threat, at least in the interim.
I think the other piece that neutralizes him a lot is actually his relationship with Carolyn.
Carolyn.
And I think the fact that she is so underestimated and shouldn't be, and the fact that, yeah, he has nobody except for Carolyn, and nobody seems to respect Carolyn as a game player, it sort of says, okay, so who does he have? He has Carolyn. What are they going to do together? Fine, let them be. Let me get rid of some. Like I actually think there's this weird benefit of being with somebody that people don't respect. It's weird.
Well, I mean, and if you're with somebody that people don't respect and you're this perceived threat,
Yeah.
like that's a great position to be in if you can maintain that duo to the end of the game, because then you're at the end with someone that maybe doesn't have respect and you've been perceived this whole game to be this big threat. So I mean, in that scenario, like Jam Jam's in a great spot.
Yeah.
But
It's Kylie, you make a very good point because like with Carolyn being dismissed so often,
Yeah.
I right now said Jam Jam's by himself, but he's with Carolyn,
Not.
but nobody cares. So Jam Jam is seen as being like by himself, and Carolyn's like, I'm standing right here. Like, oh yeah, Carolyn too.
And let me tell you, I would not be surprised if Carolyn at one point ends up using her idol on Jam Jam.
Yeah.
Like that is what I believe we're about to see at some point, because she knows she needs him, and I don't think he knows he needs her as much, in truth. But I don't think he just has another choice.
I don't think that he doesn't know he needs her. I think he says Carolyn's fine, but I would like more allies that would want to work with people, please. And then they're like, yeah, we'll see what we can do. And he's like, I know Carolyn's there, but it's not helping me. So I need somebody else.
Can I ask, the moral of the story is when all of us are cast on Survivor, do we just go like be wacky like Carolyn? Is that what we do? And people will just say go? Like how are they underestimating this woman?
I want to make sure I say this clearly. She's not being underestimated. She is being dismissed.
Is that worse?
Yes. And the reason, and I mean, I've been talking with Kylie.
Marianne was underestimated.
Yes. I've been talking with Kylie, but dismissed by Jonathan. Dismissed by only Jonathan.
That's true.
Whereas with Carolyn, she is dismissed by everyone. And that's what's tough.
Not Carson.
Not everyone except Carson. And that's where the hard part is. And that's what I was talking to Kylie, Karen, and Robbie about the last few weeks, is that while Carolyn's doing the right moves, since they constantly dismiss her, I don't think she could win the game, because I don't think anyone respects her enough to realize that the moves she's doing are moves that she is doing, because she is doing the moves. But I don't know that they're going to give her credit, but to watch on a playback a la Aubrey and Michelle Fitzgerald.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but isn't that, though, ultimately storytelling? That's her ability when she does end up in the final tribal council, and I wholeheartedly believe she will. Like, I think will she be able to go back and tell that story? And my gut says she will use her Carolinisms and tell that story really, really well. And I predict she will win this game.
I think she'll win if she gets to the end, unless she's maybe sitting next to Carson. Maybe. But we still have like so far to go before there's like so much that can happen. Like you can have an awesome gig and then just flame out, you know?
My thing with Carson is that everybody's being friendly and nice, and at some point they're all going to look at him and say, "Oh shit."
Yeah, I think Carson will get caught up. But all right, moving on through the episode, it is time for everyone's favorite love story. Hashtag Manny, aka Matt and Franny. And look, y'all, I had about my whole fill of it in this episode.
Good.
Like, this is not The Bachelor.
I hope you feasted.
This is not even Big Brother. We don't need this. We don't need this. And we don't need all of, and I mean, that obviously the questioning for them in confessionals are like, well, how do you feel about your tribe? But specifically, how do you feel about Franny? How do you feel about Matt? And, and that's where they're getting these sound bites. And obviously, they're not just exclusively talking about each other.
Right,
but
right.
Do we know if they're in a relationship right now at all?
So, I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Do we know if they're in a relationship?
Yes, they are in a relationship. He said it in his exit press. They are together. So
What?
good for them.
The Bachelor happened.
That's great. But in the game, we get this conversation with Matt and Franny where Matt is like, oh, I finally feel like I'm really getting to play Survivor because I have a vote. And I am like a little butterfly. I am spreading my wings. I am like the phoenix from the ashes. I arise. Here I am, baby.
Whenever you feel confidence in Survivor, that's when you go down.
Yeah. And not only does he have his vote back, y'all, he's got an idol. He's on top of the world.
No.
And
the following scene is great.
It's easy to look back now, obviously, knowing that he's for sure not going to win this season. I mean, I think that Matt has gotten a really good reception from a lot of Survivor fans. Seems like a really, really nice guy, but to me, he got like big time dodo at it the whole season. Like his whole storyline is only Franny. That is where Franny does talk about him. He only talks about Franny. He doesn't have his votes. He's got this fake idol. And then, then he sits down with Brandon at the camp. And Brandon is like, so who do you think's got the Soka idol? And Matt's like, oh, I don't know. I don't know who has it.
This was great. This was so great. This is so great.
Brandon's like, because when I got my birdcage idol, there was two of them. A real one and a fake
two, because the real one and the dummy idol. And the real one, like one of them even look like little beads and stuff. And you can see Matt going, oh, there's only one.
FNL. FNL.
Oh, that would be so disappointing.
But the best
figured it out though. Like,
is it worse to find out like this, or is it worse to play it? And
no, like this,
it's
like
worse
this.
to play it. I think.
No, because when you're playing it, you think you're making a move, right? And you're doing the best you can. And this one, only you can sit in that funk. That is fake.
No,
no.
But the alternative is you play it and you leave. At least now,
right? But you tried though. But like you tried. The real worst is if you like try to get the votes on you, then you play it. That's when it's like real dumb. But like, and if he like when there's like. If he goes to tribal and plays it, whatever. But in this situation, you have to sit in that filth. As Brandon's like, yeah, man. So I opened it, and there was two, and there was one of them that was like a fake one, and another one that was like the real one. And so we have the fake one, and you can put with the note or whatever. And he's like, huh. Well, guys, I'm pretty sure Danny has the idol.
Oh yeah, Danny's got it, for sure. And I know this for sure because flashback.
I have the fake one.
I've got the fake one. Pretty sure I've got the fake one. And Danny basically like took me by the hand like a little preschooler and led me to it. So
make sure, Danny, come back to Danny. Make sure you're reaching in everything to see where it is. Make sure you're digging around. That one right there. Make sure you try the one on the right side. I'll be right back. Matt's like, oh, I got it. Yes. It goes in there. Yes, I got it. One idol for me. And that is so great. And it was hilarious because he's immediately is able to pinpoint Danny, but also tell them, so I have a fake idol, I think. That is it.
Yeah, but he also, I don't know, it would be a really awkward thing. Like, I think he did the right thing to tell them that. But he also, a second ago, just said, yeah, I don't know where the idol is.
Right.
Like,
I didn't know.
So I just lied.
I don't know where the real idol is.
I don't think anyone's gonna hold him accountable for lying because he was hiding the real idol, but he immediately told them about the fake one.
Yep.
Yeah. And so like Matt is like, "Oh, I've kind of underestimated Danny a little bit." And it cuts to this scene of Danny putting in a little bit of work, and he's like, "You know what we need to do? We got to vote out Lauren because she's a problem. She has 2 votes." Um, as a whole, what do y'all think about this decision of Danny to target Lauren
Um,
specifically?
I thought it was an interesting move that he wants to do, mainly because he is like me and doesn't seem to want to have advantages around because they are hard to predict. But the thing that's the most interesting to me is that he has an advantage himself in his idol. And so he's like, there should be no other advantages. And I want
He's
to
like he's
emphasize
like he's
other.
like God, like, "You
Yes,
should have no other gods before me. No one else may have one of these."
correct, correct.
I
And
think you can like also tell if you're gonna vibe with someone in a certain way, and maybe he
Mhm.
just wasn't vibing with Lauren in a good enough way that like her votes might be a problem for him.
well, I disagree because he wants to work with Brandon, right? And Brandon is working with Lauren closely. So that makes her an ally to him in the grand scheme of things. But that's why I think it goes back to specifically the extra vote because he says since she has an extra vote, we should blindside her. I don't think she would be on his radar otherwise.
I have to say, I was reading this all a little bit differently. The second he was talking, I was like, he is being very pushy. He is being a little bit aggressive when they don't even know who has immunity. They don't know anything. And my sense in that moment was, holy crap, Danny's about to go home with an idol in its pocket. And so that's sort of what I took from this of how long could he kind of try to dictate this? It felt off to me a bit.
Yeah, and I mean, I kind of love how this is setting up. We are getting this setup of Soka versus Ratu, and these powers are going to go at each other. Like, but you see this working of like, okay, maybe Danny would be okay with blindsiding. I mean, sorry, excuse me, Matt would be okay with blindsiding Danny, and Danny's trying to target this Ratu person. He's not going to see this coming, and then we get Carson, who's like, I'm firmly in the middle, me and the Tikas. And you're like, okay, this is interesting. I like how this is setting up. I like how this is setting up. And then time to crush our dreams because here comes the immunity challenge, y'all. This whole little thing, we're gonna table it. Hopefully in the next episode, we get to pick back up and we
Long-term
do get to
storytelling.
see. We do get to
Long-term storytelling.
hopefully we get to see this come to fruition and
I
we
think
get
we
to see
will.
this Ratu and Soka coming of
Well, are you
age.
kidding me? This is a war of the ages. This is long-term storytelling. This is
War of the Ages? This is
yeah.
Survivor.
Yeah,
What are you talking
Soka
about?
versus Ratu. So Soka versus Ratu is the war that we're gearing up for. That is the war that's on the horizon. And the Tikas have finally gotten themselves in the middle. And yes, we don't see it this episode, but it is foreshadowing for future. I'm not really sure.
Hopefully, we hope.
Hopefully, that's what
Because
foreshadowing
next
is.
episode, if we divide up into 5s again and we go to 2 tribal councils, then guess what? This is gonna be tabled
We
again.
we do it once a season. This is the once.
We
I
don't know
don't really
that.
know.
We'll see next
We've
time.
done it once a season. This is the
Next
once.
time on Survivor.
We'll get to the next time on Survivor, and this is why I'm talking about this later on. But like, I mean, you're getting huffy, but in reality, this is
Yes.
how this is. All this is like laying ground. Like I figured it out. Kiley is like a Law and Order type of person. She likes to have those confined 1 episode story arcs, a beginning, a middle, and the end, all in 42 minutes. No, this is called.
I want to have things come to fruition and for there to be a complete story. I do want there it doesn't have to all be wrapped up in a bow. We can have things left off that we have to follow up on later, but I want to know that there's from point A to point B that okay, this makes sense. I can follow this. Not, oh, hey, here's point A and point B, but point A and point B don't matter. What you need is D to F. And they're over here. Sorry, we just wasted 20 minutes of time because that's not going to matter. So,
Okay.
What's
So we
gonna
get to the
matter
challenge.
is that we're at the immunity challenge, and we are going to be split up into 2 teams of 5. One person from each of these groups is going to win individual immunity, and the person that lasts the longest is going to win immunity for their whole tribe. A whole tribe, safety without power.
And reward. And reward.
And
They're gonna
reward.
get
PB and J.
Kylie, do you like this, or is this Law and Order?
This is neither. I don't like it. I don't like Law and Order, and I don't like this. All right. So we split up into the groups. Group 1, we've got Heidi, Kane, Danny, Franny, Carolyn. And group 2, we have Brandon, Lauren, Jamie, Jam Jam, and Matt. Our lovebirds have been split up. And our mom and dad, Carolyn and Jam Jam, have been split up. And that is what I'm immediately concerned with. I'm like, F. One of them is going to be vulnerable, and I need them to both always make it through these episodes.
So I thought it was interesting the way that they're split, because one group had a very large Ratsu grouping, and the other one had a very large Soka grouping, with 1 or 2 strays on each one. I thought that either way it went, we were going to be getting a very clean story on who would probably be going home, which I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. And Carson is left without a group, and he gets to choose, and he gets to either go to tribal council or he gets to be safe, depending on which group wins. And he puts his money in on the orange group, group 1, Heidi, Kane, Danny, Franny, and Carolyn. If you're in Carson's situation, Karen, are you choosing group 1 or group 2?
Well, before you choose, Karen, do you like the fact that he gets to like gamble? He gets to put like a chip on either one?
No.
I don't think it adds much to the story or whatever, but it's something we've seen before. Like pre the new era as well.
Yeah. Don't like it though. Stupid.
You didn't like it then either. Oh my god.
I like something I ever think twice about. You know, I'm just like, okay, that happened.
No, I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like that he doesn't.
Look, he's too young to go to the casino, so at least I get to gamble here.
No, I don't like it. I don't like that he doesn't get to compete for immunity, and that he has to choose.
Oh my gosh.
Don't like it.
It's fine.
I don't like it.
Karen, what did you think about him picking the group that he picked?
I think it's okay. Yeah, I mean, this is one where I don't think you can really predict necessarily who's
right?
gonna win.
This was a tough one.
So.
I think looking at it, I probably would have gone his same way, because I think that I would have looked and been like, there's a good chance that Danny and Franny could both do well at this. Like probably not Kane, definitely not Carolyn. And, we do know that Heidi is like a CrossFit girl. So like, okay, maybe she's got it there. And then in group 2, I'm looking and I'm like, ooh, probably Brandon and Matt. So like kind of 2 and 2 on each side, but maybe give the slight edge to the other group.
I would have chosen the other group, but I think he was thinking strategically where he wants to cast his vote and who he wants to cast his vote with if they do end up going to tribal council.
That's how.
Sheldon, I love this. So tell us more about this thinking.
I don't know.
Why do you think Carson does ultimately choose that? Do you think it's the challenge, or do you think it's what you said, in that, oh, hey, if I do have to go to tribal council, this is the group I feel better with?
Look, it's clear. Who can you rhyme off the people on that list, please?
Sure. Which one? Group 1 or group 2?
The group that he chose.
Danny, Franny.
The group he chose, yeah. Danny, Franny, Heidi, Kane, and Carolyn.
Look, who's going to vote him out?
Nobody. They're going to vote out Carolyn.
Done.
Carolyn, but Carolyn, let's say Carolyn plays an idol. He's not the backup either. Kane's the backup.
Right.
Kane's the backup. But I don't think Carson's in danger on the other group either, because he's in with Brandon, Lauren, and Jamie. So Carson is in a good spot.
And Jam Jam.
Yeah, and Jam Jam. So Carson's in a good spot here. But I think that's exactly, Sheldon, I think you hit the nail on the head. That's exactly what I'd be trying to wonder is who, if we lose, if I pick wrong, who am I going to be able to work best with? Where are my allies that I'm going to be safe?
And look, I have to say, there's something about a player that isn't afraid to go to tribal, right? And like, yeah, I think I would have chosen the other team. It worked out in his favor when Franny beasted it and won. But truth be told, like, again, he wasn't afraid. He was like, yeah, I'm okay. I'm gonna be okay on that side. Cool.
I'm sure he was regretting it though when they all started to just
drop. They dropped like flies. So we get into the challenge itself, and like immediately, almost without
Carolyn out, and then Lauren. You're like, okay, here we go. We're balanced.
Even.
But no.
Yeah, boom, boom.
1, 2, 3. Everybody falls but Franny, and it is like Franny versus everybody.
Yeah,
and I mean, she's like,
you got Jam left, Brandon left, Matt left, and you have Jamie. They're all still in there.
Yeah, Matt, Jam,
Brandon and Jamie.
Brandon and Jamie, all 4 against Franny.
So Franny destroyed it. And Bob asked earlier on, do you guys think Franny should have lost on purpose to save her lover boy?
Yes. Yes, 100% yes. 100% yes. Because Franny, once she gets individual immunity, like we saw it last season in the similar challenge, once Carla got it, she was on the outs. Carla got it and had no interest of trying to get reward for those MFers, right? Like once you have the individual immunity, and especially in Franny's situation, she knows that based on the numbers, Matt's alone over there. She has numbers with Soka over here, and she has individual immunity. It's in her best interest for her to go to tribal, so that way she, along with her numbers, can decide what's going to happen. So she should have threw it at that point because she's still in charge of what happens numbers wise,
and still safe,
and also still safe herself. But she doesn't throw it, and she outlasts Brandon, and Jam could end up being Brandon versus her, and she outlasts Brandon.
So I'm gonna be the Robbie here. I'm gonna play devil's advocate.
I was about to be Robbie.
My initial, what I think, and if I'm playing the game, I would have thrown it if I were Franny. Okay, but the flip side of this is Franny now actually in a better position than she was with Matt in the game? Because now she's still in a great position with Soka, and any goodwill she might have earned from, Lauren, Carolyn and Carson, like, they may be feeling really good about her and Kane because she saved all their asses. And now she doesn't have that, ball and chain of Matt.
I think Matt was terrible for her game, actually.
I do too.
Because it was just way too much attention that you do not need at that point in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And so, honestly, I think this was the best thing for her, but I don't know. I think she played it right.
While I agree with both of you guys from a Kevin perspective, if I'm putting myself in Franny's shoes at the time and watching them walk around the island, it's a bad move because, like you guys said, like you're right, she's now a free agent, right? She's an individual. They were seen as a pair, but she seemed to be really still locked in on that pair at the time. She didn't look at it from a 1,000-foot view. She was looking at it in the moment, which is why I think it was a bad move for her to do in the moment. It's definitely good for her long term. I'm with both of you 100%. But like in that moment of how she was playing the game, it didn't seem like a good idea.
Listening to the exit press today, this was not a quick challenge. So it's not like she didn't have, okay, that she had to have adrenaline pumping, like she's just won immunity. And it wasn't like they all fell and then 2 minutes later, Brandon's out too. I mean, apparently this was, it went on for at least an hour or two.
Wow.
Wow.
And so she had time to really think about it. And so to me, this is a conscious decision on her part of like, hey.
I think
I'm going to win this thing.
I completely agree with all of you. I think this is, I'll reiterate why I think that this is the best thing for her. The fact that Matt is gone. I think she no longer has emotions with anybody at the level that she had with Matt. And I think the fact that, and look, the two of them, we're seeing them first time ever. We see two nerds as a power couple, two nerds of powerful. Like, it's all gone now. Franny's by herself, a young little girl. Okay, so she won. She won one challenge. I don't think they see her as a threat anymore. And I think that's exactly where she needs to be. So I think this is only good for her game, and I don't think she planned that out. I think it just happened. But again,
and I don't think she wanted it. Like, even when it was happening, she didn't want it. So it's good for her game. And immediately we get the fact that they're going to be going to a separate beach, and they're going to have to strategize at the separate beach. Matt immediately mentions, I only brought a water bottle, only brought a canteen.
Why does he have to say this? Like,
but he didn't say to them. He said to the camera, and so he knows that he doesn't have his idol, fake or otherwise. He knows that he doesn't have his shot in the dark either, which I thought was a very interesting thought. Because I didn't even consider
as soon as this comes to light, because he tells Jam Jam, and of course Jam Jam is going to tell other people. You know what I mean? He's going to grasp onto this. As soon as it is out there, if I'm Brandon, Lauren, and Jamie, I have no doubt that I'm voting Matt out, because he is from the powerful tribe. He is in a tight duo. Jam Jam doesn't have anyone but Carolyn. Who cares about her? So, like, I am no doubt, don't even have to have conversations, voting Matt out.
Right. I mean, and there's nothing to save him. He doesn't have anything with him to save him with. So it's like there's not even really need to split the vote, because there's nothing unless he finds something on this tiny beach.
On this beach.
And but even before we get there, like they're in their little groups, when they're in the group and they're eating their peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. I don't know who it is, but one of them says, tonight seems like a foregone conclusion that's either going to be Matt or Jam Jam. Like, it's going to be just the one of the two of them. And it was very interesting because I didn't think about that until they said it, because it was so quickly after. But once they said that, I'm like, oh, no, you're right. I mean, even if you are making new bonds with other people, you were at least on the beach for 10 days with Lauren, Brandon, and Heidi and Jamie together, right? On the beach together for about 10 days.
Right. So no intricacies matter at this point. All that matters is, hey, we started this game together. It would be dumb of us to vote each other out.
That's what
between which one are we going to get rid of?
Look, I think it just happened this time, though. It's possible with another group of three people where one of them felt like they were the bottom of that group.
Correct.
That they would have switched.
Easily swapped. This would have been an easy time for someone that fell on the bottom. And Jamie never fell on the bottom with these two. Like, if, let's say it's Brandon, Lauren, and Kane, Brandon or Lauren are in trouble. You know what I'm saying? So, like, that's immediately, and then I'm sure Kane would have been like, bro, this is just like Dungeons and Dragons. When we come to a part, we have to roll the dice and we have to figure out who's going to get a 20. You know what I'm saying? Or something like that. I don't know, like, what he would do. I don't know the exact
impressed with your
analogy.
knowledge there.
Yeah, man, I play D&D, but like I don't know the exact nerd analogy on that one. But
it's a D20.
Yeah. I don't know the exact nerd.
Excuse me, this is not the nerd herd. What is going on here?
I know, because I watch a TikTok video, a guy where he rolls for a sandwich ingredients, and he's like a D&D-er, and he uses his D&D dice. So that's how I know about him.
But with having Kane in there, it would have easily changed the dynamic of this thing. But I appreciated them talking about this option, about like how easy this was going to be. It was going to be one of the two of them. And it seemed to me that for the very first time, Franny realized how dire Matt's situation was, because she then says, well, I think Brandon's going to vote with Matt. And then they're like, and then he's like, maybe not. And then she's like, oh, I've made a great mistake.
Like, But this is what I love. Once again, this dismissiveness of Carolyn. Carolyn is there. She's eating her little PB&J, getting her some little salty chips, and they're like, "Well, we all want Matt to come back, right?" And Carolyn, we don't care that you've spent the whole game with this person. That doesn't matter. What matters is that we all want Matt to come back.
It was more like everyone wants Matt to come back, right? Oh, hey, Carolyn, I didn't forgot you were here.
And Carolyn's like,
you probably want Jam Jam. You probably want Jam Jam. I'm assuming.
Poor Carolyn.
Yeah, and so I mean,
she's not a quiet lady either. How did they forget her?
Because she's irrelevant in their mind.
Yeah, and I do think that Carolyn is quiet in some situations. I mean, I think we've seen many group conversations where Carolyn does kind of shy back a little bit, where like Jam Jam said, this is level 1 Carolyn, she's not on 100. And I think in those group settings where she's not comfortable, she is level 1 Carolyn.
If I'm in that game and I see a Carolyn, we are best friends. Like, I would love this woman.
No, man, I'm with a lot of them. I need to get her out. She's crazy and wild, and I don't know what she's gonna do.
She is not crazy. She's certainly wild, but there's zero evidence that she's wild in the game.
True.
It's true. I think it's just like past players that you might put her in that bowl, like Nora or something, or
like Nora, Nora or Debbie.
Nora's the closest, I think.
And what's interesting in this conversation when they're, they've uncovered this note, open it after you eat. Franny's like, oh, like I'm glad for myself that I want immunity, but I kind of wish that I was in Matt's position. And so like, at least I would have control over the situation. And that is why I'm happy that if this had to happen between the two of them, like I feel super bad for Matt. Got a little bit screwed in this twist, but if it had to happen to one of them, I'm glad it happened to Matt and not to Franny, because I think Franny has her head way more in the game than Matt does.
I would just wish that Franny threw, because if Franny throws, Franny's safe and Matt's safe. I don't really care about Matt being safe legitimately. Like I don't really care for the guy. He was really annoying to me on screen, but
very
if she wants, and it's hard. It's hard. I want to make sure I say that again. It's hard. She's in the moment, right? While she's out there, she's trying to win immunity. She's trying to help her whole team. And the game is being played right there. But if she considered the real team, which was who she's working with, she should have been like, we have the numbers to do whatever we want here. And Matt is by himself.
Yeah.
Even if Brandon votes with him, Matt is still... It's him versus Jam Jam, and if Jam Jam has something, he might not be safe. So she should have thrown. We'll go back to that. But I like that she's like, yeah, man, we all want Matt to come back. And let's do what we can to try to help him. Let's send them positive thoughts. Let's see what we can do. And then that's when like you said, Kylie, Danny has a note that they need to read after.
So let's get into the note. Let's go back to our vulnerable beach, and then we'll come back to the note because there's so much to talk about with it. And another new twist. So exciting. All right. So back on the vulnerable beach, we get this conversation, and I love it, of Jamie, Matt, and Brandon. And Matt is like, well, I assume that it's probably me or Jam Jam, unless I'm reading the situation wrong and y'all want to vote out Lauren. And Brandon is like, immediately no.
No, fam. That's not good. You're reading. You are reading this correct the first time. It is between you and Jam Jam.
Yeah. We're not getting rid of her. So yeah, you're Jam Jam.
Matt said, I would have asked you out if you were interested, but I don't think you are you? I'm not interested.
No.
See, that's why I didn't ask you out.
Yeah.
I was just checking.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have voted Lauren out either. I just was making sure y'all wouldn't vote Lauren out. So while this little conversation is happening, we see the boy Jam Jam.
Before you get in that, I loved this little intricate thing when Matt's like, hey, so does anyone want to go and talk? Brandon and Jamie are like, yeah, we'll go. And Lauren specifically says, I'm gonna stay right here and I'm gonna hang out. I loved the fact that they had already decided that we are going to separate
We're good.
to make sure we're going to keep an eye on either one of these MFers.
Mm-hmm.
I loved that.
And so with that note, or with that conversation between Lauren and Jam Jam is like, oop, I'm going to take advantage here. I'm frozen.
Oh,
You're not.
Oh, okay. All my screen is frozen. Jam Jam's like, I'm going to take advantage of this, and I'm fixing to throw
Oh,
She's
that's
fixing to throw Danny out there as a name that they can do, which is why I thought it was interesting, because she said that, hey man, Danny's on to you about your 2 things, so your 2 votes, so we should probably do something about that. And I love that Lauren's like, look man, I want Matt to go. Like, I want Matt gone. And I respected the hell out of that, because Lauren's like, look man, Jam doesn't really got much else to do. He ain't got really too many choices, so I might as well just tell her like it is. What y'all think?
Are we seeing a bit of, like, I loved it too, but is that inflexibility going to bite her?
I mean, I think Matt is the move.
Right.
In this, like, I think Matt's the right move for.
Look,
Yes.
the other piece is they also don't have much experience going to tribal, so
Right.
like, so it's all kind of new. It's not like Carolyn and Jam who have been there so many times that they're like, another tribal. It's easy. I've been there. Who cares? Like,
Well,
I'm a little bit concerned when these tribes that are big and large and don't lose end up in
Well, this is where you like forge the fire of trust. I mean, but Don said it right here in the chat. Lauren's been wanting to split Franny and Matt up for a minute, and it's true, because she said they're voting together, they're dangerous. So she's like, I need Matt gone. And the thing is, though, and the thing I love is that this truly starts the Soka Ratu war, right? Because it puts them into place about who is going to be doing the things needed, right? In terms of the 2 groups, it puts them on the offensive, because Ratu is making the first move here.
And like, Soka's gonna be a problem.
Yes.
And you have one of their members in the
crosshairs. Like, they're lined up.
Pull the trigger. Like,
it's kind of interesting because
whatever. Like, you have the shot set up like that, you got to take it.
So yeah, but there was no other alternative, like, because they had to pull it. However, they could have said, you know what, let's just get rid of Carson, let's get rid of Jam, let's get rid of Carolyn, and then we'll battle it out. No. Far more dangerous.
But you can use them as numbers, especially, and this is where it's key. Especially having Carson work with Ratu already. Carson seems like someone they can work with. So they don't want to just say, let's line them up and knock them out, because Carson's a number for us. And we have more numbers than Carson's other little counter group. So let's use them. And I did love that Matt tries to go to Jam and says, hey, if they split, me and you could come down the middle with this vote.
No, this is Jam. It's the smartest thing he said all season.
Oh, yeah.
And so what is interesting, and we're going to be getting into the new twist in a minute, is in his exit press, Matt said that him and Jam went through all the scenarios of like, okay, if they split their votes and we vote together, like obviously on a revote, they're just going to vote one of us out. And they realize like writing's on the wall. It's one of us. If they're together, then, they're not voting for each other. So one of us is leaving, and they knew going into it that it was one of them. And so the twist, are we ready to talk about this new twist?
Well, back on the other beach.
I missed some of that conversation. I don't know what all's been talked about.
We just talked about all we did was talk about Matt and his attempt to save himself. But back on the other beach, they get a note, and on the note it says, open when everybody's done eating. The note then states that there's a new advantage that is in the cage. And in order to get it, there's going to be keys all hidden throughout the woods. You got to grab a key, try the lock, and then throw the key down if it doesn't work before you can go find another key. I'm sure we're going to hear about how Kiley doesn't like this twist either, because Kiley don't like shit. So this is true.
I don't like this in combination with everything else.
Okay, Evan, why do you like it? And then I'll tell you why I think it's ridiculous.
I'm gonna let Kiley go first.
All I have to say is this combined with everything else is what I do not like. It is this on top of not having a theme, on top of having 3 starting tribes, on top of having extremely competitive physical competitions that are putting women at a disadvantage, on top of the dumbass idols, on top of you have to earn the merge, you have to earn everything in this game except for the free idols.
You just don't like change.
Okay, no. Change is fine. We just want a couple little changes.
Hold on. What changes have you liked?
I like the immunity idol as a whole.
The general concept. How long did it take you to come around to the immunity idol?
The good news is that I started with the immunity idol, and then I went back and watched seasons and was like, "Oh, this sucks."
No, but I know why I didn't like it without
let's hear it.
Sheldon, I was going to tell you why I do like it.
No, I want to tell you why I didn't like it.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. I love you guys. Very simply, I do not like this because they are not going to tribal council and voting. Okay? It is unfair if you unmerged. It is, which is what happened. To me, fundamentally, it is unfair that the group that's not strategizing, the group that's not voting, has a say in what happened in that other group's thing. That's fundamentally, to me, not right and not fair. That's why I didn't like it.
Okay, so the thing that I liked about it, I like that there was. The reason I it's the same thing as like a steal a vote. If you have a steal a vote, you just took someone's vote and you made a decision with what's going to happen.
They're not on the same tribes.
Here's the thing: as a whole, I do like the advantage of getting to tell someone how they have to vote.
I like
hate it in this scenario
when they're all a tribal.
No, I don't. Yeah, exactly. I don't like it in this iteration.
And they're all voting, and they all are at risk.
So I like they're all at risk. I mean, the last challenge, one group was safe, last group anyway. Like that same thing. You don't like that then either. Anyway, so the reason I like this one specifically, I like that there was 15 keys, and only one of them opened the thing. So it was a little bit of a luck of the draw type deal. You had to find the keys first and foremost and be lucky. I like that. It doesn't favor anyone. It doesn't make anyone better. I like the fact that you have to try to open the lock first. You can't just hoard the keys. I also like that. I like the fact that the advantage itself wasn't something nuclear. It wasn't something that was going to irreparably change the game like an idol or something. It was something that could be used specifically for this vote. Because unlike you guys, one of the things I really like about this season and seasons like this is the finite amount of time that you can do stuff. Because I like, if you're going to do a bunch of advantages, I like that they can be used in the next 1 or 2 rounds. That's it. So when they had those safety idols or whatever, those idols that they were handed to them, because they were definitely handed to them, they were good for 2 votes only. And I like that concept. I like having to nerf the amount of time that something can be used. So them having to find it, you have someone that's unexpected in Heidi getting the advantage. And then now Heidi has to strategize how this best works for her, because she normally wouldn't be the person to have an advantage. But for her to have it and be able to use it to her advantage, I loved it. I loved the whole thing of it. Karen, what are your thoughts?
The actual advantage I'm okay with. I'm not a huge fan of mad scrambles for a public advantage, so I would have been chilling on the beach sunbathing instead of participating in this scramble.
That's why I didn't understand why they made them finish eating first. I wanted to see them read it and then have to make a choice. Do I go get an advantage or eat? And I wanted
Because
No
if
way.
you leave
one
Danny's
dish.
ass here with these peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, it's gonna look like the ants carried it off because
was-
it's gone.
It was very simple, Sheldon, why they had to finish eating first.
No, I get that. All I'm saying
No.
is
You didn't let me tell you why it was very simple.
Okay.
They said we only have so many crew people here, so we can't have y'all one on the people eating, one on the people running around. There's only so many crew here, so we need everyone doing the same thing at the same time.
I wanted to see Richard Hatch saying, "I don't need an idol. Sit down and eat a sandwich." That's what I wanted to see.
Yeah, that would have been interesting to like see because if I'm Kane, like, ooh, I'm kind of in like a little bit of a precarious situation. I'm not going to be involved in this. And it would have been fun to see like, Carolyn.
Oh no, I
and
think Kane would have been in
Franny
it because he's like,
battle it out.
this could be an idol. I think they all think this could be an idol, and then it's not. So it's great. It's this control of vote advantage,
Yeah.
and
So
I love the fact that, and I don't know what it is about this woman, Heidi, but I'm loving her because Franny goes to her and says, "Oh my God, with this advantage, we can save Matt and probably Jam Jam, but definitely Matt." And immediately Heidi's like, let me see what we can do with this thing. And
so
Freddie's
I
like,
love
wait,
I
what?
love this part. I love the conversations that she has. I like her talking it out with like kind of everybody and getting to see her inside of like, Matt is really well liked. Like we all just sat here and said we all want him to come back and he's closer to Franny than he is to me. And like, oh, low key, I've got a pretty good connection with Jam Jam. I don't really want to see him go.
But
I
Kylie,
love this because we've not gotten anything from Heidi in like 3 episodes.
But Kylie, going back to what we said earlier, she says, Matt has Franny and Jam Jam, he could be closer to me than anyone. What about Carolyn?
Poor Carolyn. Once again,
Carolyn.
poor Carolyn. But Heidi says, and I wrote it down when I watched it the second time because I was too stressed about this dumbass twist and worried about my boy Jam Jam to have been able to even take notes the first go around. I had to go back and watch it again. And so Heidi makes this comment, and I want to focus on this, knowing, how things are going to play out. She wants to gain friends and not enemies with this. So let's talk about, we can get into the specifics of tribal council, but just continuing on with this advantage, let's talk about her ultimate decision where she is going to decide to take Lauren's vote, make her vote for Jam Jam, and then how it plays out. Does anyone think that Heidi made a good decision?
Yes. So we get to 100%. So we get to the tribal. Yeah. So we get a tribal, and
I don't understand. I don't like being on Kylie's side, but all night I'm on Kylie's side.
let me tell you why. So we get to tribal, and it seems like a very obvious Matt versus Jam Jam situation.
Sure.
Matt then states to everyone, again, I don't have my bag unless someone over there noticed I don't have my bag.
That bothered me so badly.
Anyone?
Well, he thought he was Angelina asking somebody for a piece of cloth.
No, I think he thought he was more like a superhero where he comes sliding in, puts his hand out, and then someone throws him the thing he needs in the air. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So he's like, anyone bring my bag? And they're like, no, sweetie, we did not. And so
I have a question. Does this mean that she has a fake idol now and another shot in the dark?
She doesn't have another shot in the dark, but she has a fake idol. Yeah. So the reason I'm going through this is because once the bag doesn't come, it's like, okay, there's very obviously that Matt doesn't have anything to save him because he just said this out loud. Yeah. Heidi has a decision to make in terms of like not making friends, not making enemies, but creating more friends. She already feels like she could save Jam Jam. So she wants to be able to direct this in a way that the votes will all go on Matt. Matt's already stated he has nothing to save him. If you take Lauren's hands and point them at Jam Jam, right? Jam Jam now knows that a vote is definitely coming his way. So in order to counter that, he has to vote Matt. By
Kevin,
him,
get the actual fuck out.
I'm
This is
dead
not
serious.
what happened.
Yeah, for sure. He votes Matt. Brandon and whatever split that was happening between the three of them, they cannot split the way they were going to anymore. Because Lauren is already voting Jam Jam. So Brandon and Jamie have to vote Matt. Unless they want to vote out Jam Jam, they have to vote Matt. So Jam Jam's now going to vote Matt. That's 3-2. It's that simple.
Look, I think what you're saying is extremely smart. I'm just not sure that
that's not what
you're
happened.
thinking.
I'm very interested to see like if that is what happened, then good move.
Because Heidi says she says in her soundbite, I have to pick the person and vote the way to direct them what they want to do, because that's what what's her face was trying to pitch to her. Franny was like, we can direct them on who to vote for if we have someone vote. So let's say she takes Brandon's vote and votes Lauren, then Matt and Jam Jam can vote Lauren, because there's now 3 at Lauren if that's what they want to do.
Look, I don't want to take it away from Heidi, because maybe all of that what you said is true, and I hope that it is true, so that
She had hours to figure it out,
so that we have a really good game player. I don't see any evidence of that.
Well, I don't think that she came to that decision alone.
I don't think she came to that decision, period. I think she got to tribal council. I think she saw how things were going, and she was like, I am going to make Lauren's vote go for Jam Jam. And so that way they all know that we're expecting Jam Jam to be out of this game.
Yeah,
and
that's what I
Jam
thought.
Jam, he doesn't have anybody.
Yeah,
Oh,
part of me,
forgot about her. No big deal. So I don't
part
give a
of me-
shit. I'm completely burning this bridge with Jam Jam. She has completely burned this bridge with Lauren, because Lauren is immediately pissed.
she also burned all of Puerto Rico. Like I thought the Puerto Rican
Done.
alliance would go far. It's done. They hate him. They hate her now. No, I completely agree with Kiley. I have zero evidence that thinking was going on in Heidi's mind. I kind of hope we see that next week when they do a flashback or they do a confessional or something. Because if that's the case, then we actually have a player.
If we get that flashback, I will pull a Jam Jam and I will slurp my words back up.
I mean, I think you guys are being dismissive of, not of Heidi. I'll make sure that's clear. I think you have to be dismissive of the amount of time Heidi had to work with people on how to make this work for them.
Let's see next week, because I have not seen we haven't seen any gameplay from Heidi. So so we don't know.
Wait, guys, even crazier idea. What if this plan was like Carolyn's plan on how to use this advantage? Like,
What'd you say?
What if this was when they flashback goes, it's Carolyn and Heidi going over on how to save Jam Jam by doing this, and then Carolyn, no one's still believing that it was Carolyn's idea.
That would be fitting. But in the tribal council, we get these moments that Jeff just wants, and he talks about in his On Fire with Jeff Probst podcast of this vulnerability that Matt shows. And this is why Matt Blankenship is one of Jeff's all-time favorite castaways.
No.
Yes. Because of how vulnerable he is in showing his social anxiety and how he was able to overcome it in the biggest way possible.
This isn't Dr. Phil. This isn't Dr. Phil.
And he was able to overcome it, and people are really going to connect with him.
Oh God, Survivor is doomed.
So I tried to catch up with the On Fire with Jeff today, but I didn't listen to the latest episode, and I wish I had, because that is a statement.
A statement. And so, yes,
wonder.
Yes, Matt is one of his all-time favorite castaways. And and then he's like, "Oh, well, then of course, Jam Jam, like he's just so lovable, and like he's vulnerable too, and that he talks about how he just kind of deflects things with his humor." But I think ultimately we see Jam Jam do a better job of pitching, and they both kind of have this self-deprecating moment in Tribal, and that Matt is like, I went on an adventure with you and I voted with you on Soka. And like, if y'all want to keep me, but it comes across so disingenuous where he's, like trying to be a little self deprecating.
He's grasping
And,
at straws.
but then you get Jam Jam where Jam Jam's like, just let me know, because Jam Jam has it. Whatever it is, he's got it and he is able to pull it off. And when he makes the points of like, little old me, I don't have anybody. Not even Carolyn. She left me out of the vote. Like, why would you want to, take out me whenever you've got this guy here who's connected to everybody over there? And I don't think that their minds were made up at tribal council, but I like that he puts it out there of what this is.
If what you just said is true, and I believe you, Kylie, that's what Jeff said.
What if I was lying?
Jeff needs to go because I think he's lost the plot. This is a strategic game. This is not The Bachelor. This is not Dr. Phil. This is about outwitting, outplaying, outlasting. If there's some emotions, if there's some Cerise stories along the way, great. But I don't care about Matt being emotionally.
You don't care.
I don't care.
You don't care.
I don't care. I want them. I want them to be cutthroat. I want Russell back.
Right. That's what you want. That's what you want.
I'm being selfish.
Correct. And that's fine. But you said Jeff needs to go. It could be all things for all people, man. I don't care about Matt and Franny as a relationship. A lot of people care about Matt and Franny's relationship. I give two shits about it. But that's just me. Like, everyone has people watch for different reasons.
I don't mind getting some of these background stories. Like, I want to get Josh's background story. He has a background story, but I don't need the reach on every single person having this super inspiring. I think I said it like in 41 whenever, like we got these stories about like, Shan grew up and, she was in a gang and then she, became a pastor. Like, she has this incredible story. And then they were like, it's time to tell JD's story. And he's 19 years old and he's been on the track team. Like, like it's not all there. And so like, I want Shan's story. I want Josh's story.
My favorite story was Natesh's still to this day.
We don't need all of them.
Like Natesh learning how to speak English by watching Survivor was just dope.
Nasir,
yeah.
I was like,
I used to work with a guy named Natesh. That's what I thought about that guy. Nasir story, yeah.
I do like hearing stories. I like the emotions, but I would have much preferred to see Matt pull out a crazy strategic move and use his social strategies to make sure that he stays in the game. That is far more entertaining than me seeing him break down on TV. If both of them happened, great. But the strategic shit didn't happen, and I'd rather that happen. That's just how I feel.
And honestly, what we got from Matt as a game player was nothing. We got his wanting to be in a relationship with Franny, and we got that, he got broken up with and he lost his dog and woe is me, sounds like a country song. And we then get him, he doesn't have any votes, and then his first time to vote, he doesn't have his bag. Like, we get nothing strategy wise from him.
With me.
I'm just so confused how Jeff could say that something. I gotta listen to this tomorrow.
Well, I mean, the reason it is because Jeff, like, I think that we're making a mistake thinking that Jeff is watching the show for the strategy, because he's not. He watches it for the stories.
Well, like, we don't want the
Dr. Phil moments.
We do a podcast about strategy. We don't want the stories. The people that
We
are
want
not
some
listening to
stories.
the
We want the
people that are not
strategy.
listening to the podcast care about the stories.
Some. I don't think everybody does. I don't know. I need to venture off into Survivor Facebook land and see what the casuals are saying.
I would love to see the data on this. Like, I wish I could see the CBS data, the numbers, because, like, I think you're right, Kevin. Like, the only reason why CBS would be okay with the way the show is going is fundamentally there's some audience, there's some demographic that keeps on watching that's going to be popular. I don't
And
get it.
Jeff does hint at in the podcast, he does hint at a change in society, and that I guess, and I'm having to like lump society together as one because I'm not of this part of the society, that most people don't want to see that supervillain like a Russell, that we want to see this. We want this kumbaya, this heartwarming. That is where society is. And I'm like, if that is where society is, like, I got left behind. I got left behind. And he also talks a lot about how, like, in the new era of Survivor, he wants the game to be fun. And he's like, everything is this twist fun. Well, no, they're fucking not, Jeff. They're not.
They are, though.
They're not, Kevin. You're in a very, very large minority.
A very large minority.
Very large.
So is it almost the majority?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to. So they're like 49% of the people.
So big that it's the majority. No, you are in the minority in that there are very, very. I don't see
people don't like change
over with praise for this.
People don't like change. And the
it
question,
doesn't have anything to do with change. Like, I am okay with change.
Does.
Like,
it does.
Give us some new advantages. Give us some new twists.
We're getting them.
No, but Kevin, we're not. We're
control of vote. Knowledge is power. The shotgun idols. Like, we're getting new advantages.
Right. And we're not getting rid of them. We're getting new ones, and then we're adding more new ones and more new ones and more new ones, and we don't have anything that's straightforward. We don't have straightforward Survivor anymore.
Look, I'm okay
it's
with
completely lost in the woods.
I'm completely
Hold on, Sheldon.
Okay.
We haven't had straightforward Survivor until once an idol was introduced into the game. Like, season 11 is the last time you had straight. Forget that. You haven't had straightforward Survivor since
now it's gay Survivor.
When there was a swap. Like, that's the point. The last time there was straightforward Survivor was Australian Survivor. Survivor Australia.
Yeah, great show.
Survivor Australia, the Australian Outback.
And we've gone full circle.
Yeah, that's there's always twists and turns. Like, always.
Can I just say, I'm probably in the middle of both of you two, because I don't at my core have an issue with some of these twists. I just don't think they're in the right places at the right time. Like, I don't think that we should have been divided after merging. I don't think that somebody should get a control of vote when they're not the one who has the ability to be voted out or part of the strategy of the game. So I'm okay with the twists. I just don't think they're in the right place at the right time. So,
well, I think that's valid. And one thing Jeff talks about in the podcast is, like, they're just trying stuff out. Like, it might work. Maybe that needs to be tweaked or whatever. Like, that took them a while to figure out the mechanics of the idol and all this stuff.
You gotta try the stuff.
I think there's elements in this season of a lot of things that work, and there's a lot of things that I don't know if it's necessary, or like maybe switch this and this, but the elements are there, I think. And
listen, I don't listen. I'm happy that they're trying stuff out. I'm okay with that. No problem. I think that fundamentally, what I actually believe is the biggest issue in this game is 3 tribes and no swap.
I agree. I don't like that.
At the core, an immense reason why we're seeing things play out as they do.
I want to touch on the last time, your post-merge swap. In 36, 41, 42,
you did the
43,
research. Did the research.
44. They've all had a post-merge swap where they broke them into 2 groups. They've done it
Like I
before.
keep saying, it is this on top of 3 starting tribes, no swaps. It is the compounding factor, and that Jeff is in love with these features of the new era, and he is
Mhm.
not going to change them.
I
That
think
is
it's
the
just
problem.
throwing a bit too much at the wall at one time is
It would
the
be
big
fine. It's
but
did I bitch about it back on
Yes.
37 Island of the Idols? Let's go back. Let's roll the tape because we were
Roll the
here. We were
tape.
talking about.
What tape
Trish.
are we rolling?
And so
we don't have.
did
We only
I-
have tape
did
from
I-
41.
we literally can go find it. But no, like it's fine in moderations, but it's whenever you stack it on these other things that are flawed, that then it's like, what is this? What is this? What is happening?
I hear Arissa Cox might be looking for a new job. Survivor host would be perfect for her.
Amazing.
No,
Except that we don't need a host.
Great.
We need a
You
new
know she
executive
can host,
producer.
Sheldon? She can
What?
go host Survivor Quebec. I heard
No,
there's
she,
a
does, she probably
Survivor.
doesn't speak. She doesn't speak French.
There's a Survivor Quebec. She can go host that.
No,
No.
Survivor USA.
We don't need a host. Jeff's a great host. We
He's
need an
not.
executive
I
producer.
don't want to look at him anymore. I'm over him.
That's fine. You
Well, we're
once
not-
again, Sheldon, this is not about you.
It
Well,
is.
you want my opinion? I'm going to give you my opinion and my analysis. Bye, Jeff.
All right.
Maybe
Well,
with less Botox, I would like him more.
any other thoughts about this episode and where we are set up to go possibly in the future?
I think we're setting up for a Lauren and Danny showdown,
Yeah,
which
That's gonna be
I'm
great.
here for that.
I think we're setting up for Lauren Danny showdown. I'm excited to get some more Lauren content because every time she's on the screen, I'm just like, oh yeah, I remember why I like her.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I
She's
want
great.
more of that. And also, Danny's great. Danny's intense, fantastic.
Mhm.
And we're also watching, Jam somehow wiggle his way through every single situation, and we're gonna eventually go to a crowning of Carolyn.
Apparently, Survivor Quebec is airing right now. Sheldon, I'm gonna need a full report next week.
I watched the first 20 minutes of the first episode. C'est en français, and my French is okay, but it is not good enough to watch Survivor Quebec. So I will not be watching Survivor Quebec.
That's tough. That's tough.
All right. So, from our little draft that we did here, just as an update, Kevin has Carolyn and Jamie left. Karen has Jam, Brandon, and Danny. I have Franny and Carson. Robbie has Kane and Lauren, and Sheldon has Heidi.
So am I winning?
So
right
winners
now you
only.
have 3 people.
You have 3 shots at. So winners only draft, Karen. So.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe I'm going to win, folks. And I didn't even select Heidi. I just got her.
Yep. So, with what we've got 6 episodes left of Survivor, Kevin, who's going to win?
Right now I'm thinking it's Carson.
Sheldon, who's going to win?
Carolyn.
Karen, who's going to win?
I'm actually starting to think Carolyn, just because of how dismissive they are of her. I think she can slide right through and actually have a good speech at the end still.
And I am going to say Franny.
So I've been Franny this entire season until this last week, where she seems not as smart as I thought she was.
Damn.
I know. And I just hope that it's because this week we saw her emotions take over because of Maddie being at risk. And now that Maddie's gone, that's gone.
Oh, but hey, let's talk about next time on Survivor real quick.
Let's go.
We get to witness the heartbreak. He's gone, y'all. I'm like, he's not dead. He's at fucking Ponderosa. Like,
No,
he's
he is
sipping
dead
bars.
in the game. He is dead in the game, and it's time for them to be sad. And Danny basically looks at Franny and says, "We are going to get a pound of flesh. We're going to get our pound of flesh back. War is on." And that's what I was talking about. Is that the foreshadowing, Kiley? Is that Carolyn, Jam, and Carson are now out of the fire because the war has started.
I hope
Ratu.
so. I am for whatever keeps Carolyn and Jam safe because that's what I need. That's what I'm rooting for.
I agree with that.
But So, Kevin, with Carson being your winner pick, what do you think about what is shown that is happening to our little boy Carson? Did he get some alcohol? Have a little...
He's not feeling great. Are we gonna get another medevac? That's the real question.
No.
I think we are. I think we are.
He's gonna push through. He has no choice. It's
Nope.
Carson.
He's getting evacuated next week, is my guess.
No, stop it.
Yeah.
No way.
Yes.
He has a tummy ache.
He's
Jam
getting
Jam.
evacuated.
Jam and Carolyn will take care of his tummy.
Nope, he's getting evacuated. We're going to get all of this set up of like Ratu and Soka going head to head, and then it's not going to matter. We're gonna get another.
No, it's not going to matter because another bird cage is going to come out.
That's going to be
There's going to be a bird in it this time.
devastating.
Yep. So that's my prediction next week is that Carson is medevaced. We'll see what happens though. All right. What another fun episode. Even if we all disagree on aspects, Survivor is still Survivor, and we'll be here every week to talk about it, the good, the bad, the ugly, the differences, the similarities, and all of the things in between. But we will also be back tomorrow. Possibly this exact grouping of people. Maybe not. To talk about Big Brother Canada and what has happened in the wake of the fallout of Dan S.
I'm not cut up. So.
All right. So tomorrow, 9 Eastern, we will be back. Kevin, you got anything else to add?
Yes. For the end of the season, if you are in Toronto, there will be a live podcast and Sheldon will be in attendance. So go ahead and go on out there and check out Rob has a podcast, and they're going to be covering both Survivor on Wednesday and Big Brother, and you may get to meet Sheldon Kaufman. It's going to be great. Go out there. He will be in attendance.
Wow. What an opportunity.
What an opportunity to meet Sheldon.
Karen, Sheldon, anything to add?
Yes, please follow me at KG Fury.
No, I'm good.
All right. We will see you guys next time. Bye, y'all.
Bye.